Hello, everyone. Dr. Victoria Skirbo here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. Today is September 17th, or if you're in Australia, September 18th, and we have a new moon in um, Virgo today. It actually occurs at 7 a.m. here on the East Coast of the U.S., and as I'm doing this, it is actually 7:07, so it just happened. And we have the chart here. I figured this would be the best way to go over the new moon. Of course, new moons are always times of new beginnings. We're starting a new cycle. This occurs every month, generally in one sign, as it were, one new moon per sign. This time it's in Virgo, of course, and we have the sun and the moon right here at 25 degrees of Virgo. This is a very productive moon. There is some challenges within it, of course, as always. But the major thing, well, first of all, let's talk about Virgo. So what is really Virgo? What is the archetype of Virgo? Um, Virgo is what we call a transitional archetype. Virgo and Pisces are transitional archetypes. Of course, Pisces is the sign opposite of Virgo. In Virgo, we go from the very sort of willful, self-expressive Leo energy to the more cooperative, partnership-oriented energy of Libra. And so Virgo's job really is to create, to a certain extent, humbling experiences for the Leo, so that the Leo can sort of come out of itself, come out of its sort of self-subscribed. I don't think that, I'm not sure that's the word. Self-referential state of being, to notice the other and to give the other, half of the attention, which is a big deal. So Virgo does that. Virgo is also in a natural chart. Virgo sits here in the sixth house, and the sixth house is the house right before we get to the seventh house, which is the house that we begin to be in the outer world. The lower part of the chart is the inner world. The outer part of the chart is the outer world. And so Virgo is that transitional zone between our experiences as individuals, developing sort of under the surface and then coming out into the world. So it's a very powerful, necessary archetype that we go through. And so themes of the sixth house are service, or themes of Virgo, I should say, are service and making the adjustments necessary, fixing what's broken. There is a crisis perspective in Virgo. In fact, sometimes Virgos will create crisis, so they feel like they have a purpose, because they are used to coming in and putting out all the fires and organizing everything. So there's this energy of wanting to do that, but there can also be an energy of creating things so that you have to do that. So that's something you always have to be a little bit careful about how you're utilizing that Virgo energy. We don't need any, well, not that we need any crisis now. At this time in our lives, it seems like there's enough crisis that we don't have to actually create any. But this Virgo in this chart, and this is a chart for the United States of America, we have an almost exact trine to Saturn in Capricorn. This is a trine of that has a flavor of Sagittarius. So we're dealing with social rewards here. So if you've been diligently working through this period of time, say 2020 has been, and previous to that, if you've really been working on things, making things better, making things more efficient, organization, health regimes, things like that, this is a time when the structures can be built for that. I mean, you're already in the process, but this is sort of when manifestation happens. So we do have that energy. And it's also trine Pluto and trine Jupiter as well, although Jupiter is pretty wide, probably just include Pluto and Saturn. Um, the trine to Saturn creates structure, the trine to Pluto creates the capacity to change and morph. So this is a very powerful time. So if there's anything that you have been working on, you can expect to get rewards for that. Your hard work is going to be rewarded at this time. Plus, the structure is there for you to make changes, right, Virgo, that can be long-standing and have great an ability to last, right? An ability to last. Stick to itness, right? We have, so if you want to go on, if you want to do a diet, or you want to change the way you live, or have a like an exercise regime or something like that, this is a great time for that, because it is both supported through the energy of Virgo and then that trine Saturn and Pluto. We do have in this chart, we also have a opposition between Mars and Juno here. Of course, Mars is now retrograde. This is a lot of, this is, excuse me, this brings a lot of tension within our relationships. And the tension is, committing to a relationship, Juno in Libra. And Juno in her own right, I think, has sort of a love-hate relationship with relationship. Juno was the queen of heaven. Juno was the consort of Jupiter, but it wasn't an easy relationship, right? Because she wanted to be respected, and her husband was kind of a go out and buff any nymph that you feel like, because you're God, right? So there's that. So there is a tension, and then of course Mars in Aries is this feeling of wanting to break free, to have freedom, which is often held back in relationships. Even in the best of relationships, you can't just do what you want. You generally have to say, "Hey, honey," or "Hey, girl," or "Hey, boy," whoever you're working with. These are my intentions. I'm going to go do that, just to let you know. Or is that okay with you? It depends on the situation, right? So there's that energy. But Mars is retrograde, and so it does actually point to being cooperative, right? Because it will act through its polarity point, which is Libra. So we have that. So there is tension within relationships. However, there is a lot of energy to heal. There's a lot of energy to change, to mutate to a certain extent with Virgo. We do have a T-square here. Now, this is for the United States of America. I think I mentioned that. This is occurring in the 12th house. So there's a lot of behind-the-scenes things. If we're looking at this through the lens of the mundane chart, there's a lot of behind-the-scenes activity that is starting at this time to create some sort of structure or stability. I will bet you that the people who hold most of the money cards are planning and plotting. Now, it could very well, that sounds kind of diabolical, but it doesn't necessarily have to be diabolical. They're trying to perhaps stabilize things, and that, I think, is financially stabilized. That, I think, is we're going to see a correction. We're going to see some sort of financial correction, and if I think we're going to start to see it now with this new moon, but I also think that come 2021, there's going to be a big financial correction, and it's going to be very challenging for everyone, but necessary, a necessary change. Let me see if there's anything else I want to mention here. So whenever you look at a sign such as Virgo, you look to the ruling planet of that sign. and the ruling planet of Virgo is Libra. So it gives us a clue in a way, and we'll see if Mercury, the ruling planet of Libra, is doing anything. And in fact, Mercury is in an exact square to Jupiter, an exact square. Mercury's at 1727, Jupiter is at 1726. This is the last quarter crisis in action square. Excuse me, crisis in consciousness square. We are questioning authority. We are thinking in a more progressive way. So, in its own way, this chart is one of moving in a progressive direction. But there's also this, there's a little bit of it feels like to me there's a little bit of a war between those who want to uh, bring the money from the hands of the few and infuse the economy for the many, so that we can stabilize. Because the thing is, whenever you're building something, if it's too top heavy, it's very easy to tumble over. But if the base is wide and strong, it won't tumble over. And so the economy works that way. So the economy, with most of the wealth up top, is teetering, and it's going to take very little on the bottom to knock it over because it's top heavy. And so if we can distribute, right, the wealth, or distribute, and really wealth is simply energy, right? And the structures that sort of move the wealth to the top need to be revised. And this is kind of that energy, that revision of structure, so that things can sort of come into a more balanced way. Otherwise, we're going to have one of those rug pulls that pull out from under us. And that is seen in a sesquiquadrate between this new moon and Uranus in Taurus, in the sixth house of the United States. So this is our shared resources. So there's definitely for this new moon, there's definitely energy for productive change. There's definitely energy for fixing what's broken. But there is this certain amount of tension between those people who have not wanting to share, quite frankly, and that will create a pressure that will, to a certain extent, that could blow it all up, right? And so, and then we have to share anyway, but it's a lot messier. So, hopefully, I know what in this country anyway, what the president wants to do. Quite frankly, I think he's just figuring out how he can get the most out of the coffers before he scrams. I think that all this belief stuff, and making America great and all that stuff is just a slogan for him. He doesn't really care. He doesn't really want to do it, but he knows if he creates enough chaos, he can, stuff his pockets and run. So I really think that, like, at this point anyway, I think that is his plan, and all his people around him, his sycophants and the people who have a lot of money around him, the joys, right? Those guys are figuring out how to stuff their pockets as well. Hopefully, when he does get out, we will be able to go back and reclaim some of that money, but it's being hidden. So we have to be there's going to be a lot of forensic accounting happening once Trump is out, I'll tell you that. And so, but those people will be, I think, held responsible. Just a feeling of mine. The only one who may not be held responsible is Trump. He may get off of it. I wouldn't call it scot-free, because he's a different man, and he's changed. And I don't think, I think he's done. I mean, literally, I don't think he's going to climb any higher. I think the only direction now for him is down, and I think that includes his mental status. I did a talk, well, a little like back and forth, I guess. I did some astrology. Marianne from Revealing Light did some cards. We both pulled cards, but she pulled most of the cards. And we had a discussion about this. And we talked about Trump being, not the same, right? Changing and moving away mentally, perhaps. So he is, sort of on his way out. And so we need to learn the lessons. He really has disrupted the system. And now we see the system for what it is, rigged. And now it's, not that um, Elizabeth Warren didn't tell us that. She certainly did and still does over and over again. And we knew it, those of us who live regular lives know that, there's a lot of things that are against us. And then those people of color who this has been systemic, like systematic, sort of keeping them poor and fodder for the prison system and such. If anybody understands it, they understand it the most. And so this is changing, this is shifting. And so in your own life, how does this manifest itself? Like, what's the best way, or the best way to go about this? I would say that you need to figure out what it is that's going to help support your lifestyle. Things are changing, the economy's changing. You're going to have to make some sacrifices in the things that you put your energy and money towards, right? You may have to get out of a comfort zone when it comes to how you're making money. A lot of people have jobs that won't come back. And so that perhaps that entrepreneurial spirit will kick in, or perhaps the community will become a bigger part of your life. Because if we work together, we create this third entity, right? The group sort of mind. It's the Trinity, right? It's like you, another person, and then that third. It's like in the Lover's card, you have the man, the woman, and the angel. That's kind of how the group works. And the more people like-minded, sort of vibrating at the same place, you can both find safety, security, some stability, and also move in a positive direction. So find your tribe, people. Find your tribe. And then we have to learn how to get along with the other tribes as well. It's not just about your tribe. People are in tribes already. Now, how do we interact with each other? How do we best support one another so that the whole improves? And these are some of the things that we can look at in this Virgo moon, learn from this Virgo moon. It is only a month-long cycle, but as we know, a month can change the world. A day can change the world. A moment can change the world. So find what you love what you do, fix what's broken, shore up the structures that still have sustainability. That's another issue. Sustainability will be another issue. Being in alignment with the earth, cooperating with the earth. These are all energies. And we have to remember that the majority of things that are happening in this chart are connected to earth energy, right? We have this Capricorn stellium, we have the Virgo new moon, and then we have Uranus, the great awakener, in Taurus. So we are working towards a better relationship with the earth and with our bodies and with each other and living in community, and making things better through adjustments, both mental and emotional. All right, guys, like and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed this little new moon. We'll get back to the garden tomorrow. I just thought it would be easier if we could look at it at this time using the computer. Have yourself a great day. Check out my talk, my readings with Marianne. I'm sure most of you already have. All right, guys, take care. Namaste.